Well, the big statement made by the Home Minister in his speech inside Parliament, and coming on a landmark day when the Supreme Court upheld the Centre's August 5, 2019 decision to abrogate provisions of Article 370. The Supreme Court today agreed that Article 370 of the Constitution that bestowed special status on the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir was a temporary provision. It also directed the restoration of statehood for Jammu and Kashmir at the earliest and the holding of assembly elections by September 30th, 2024. But the importance of today's ruling cannot be underscored enough. Article 370 had stood as a challenge to India's unity for over 70 years. For decades, a group of political parties argued that Kashmir needed a special status, distinct and separate from the rest of India, because Kashmir had agreed to be a part of the Indian Union only under those conditions. In 2019, all of that changed. The centre scrapped the special status and split the state into two union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. And why was this important? Because this was an answer to all those people who have time and again tried to divide the country in order to perpetuate their own politics and their own rule. This was the real divide and rule policy. From the divide of Kashmir versus India through Article 370, to the divide of OBCs versus other castes through the caste census card, to those who talk of the south of India versus the so-called Gaumutra states, to those who claimed that Assam was at one point a part of Myanmar, trying to put a rift within India's northeastern states as well. India has fought back against all of these attempts and assertions, and today that fight back was bolstered by the Supreme Court. Naturally, the divide and rule grouping is not too happy.
हमारे मुखालफिन चाहते हैं कि हम उम्मीद छोड़ के दिल बर्दाश्ता होके शिकस्त को तस्लीम करें, पर ऐसा नहीं होना है। आप जानते हैं कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने यह कहा कि 370 आर्जी है, इसलिए इसको हटाया गया। ये हमारी हार नहीं है, बल्कि आइडिया ऑफ इंडिया की हार है, हिंदुस्तान के तस्वुर की हार है।
We reiterate the CWC resolution of 6th August 2019 that Article 370 deserved to be honored until it was amended strictly in accordance with the Constitution of India. The Indian National Congress has always demanded the restoration of full statehood for what has become the Union Territory of J&K.
नहीं, आज जो फैसला आया हम उससे मुतमईन नहीं है। तो मेरे नज़र में 370 को जो एब्रोगेट किया गया है ये वायलेशन है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोरालिटी का, और जो एब्रोगेशन, बाइफर्केशन और डाउनग्रेडिंग हुआ है एक स्टेट के यूनियन टेरिटरी का, ये तो बहुत बड़ा धोखा हुआ है जो हमने कश्मीर के आवाम को वादा किया था।
Now it is important to reiterate here what the Apex Court actually said. It said that the state of Jammu and Kashmir does not retain any element of sovereignty after the instrument of accession was signed. There is no internal sovereignty that exists for J&K separate from the rights enjoyed by other Indian states. Jammu and Kashmir is like any other Indian state. It's like Bihar, it's like UP, it's like Tamil Nadu, it's like Karnataka. And most importantly, Article 370 is a temporary feature and was a feature of asymmetric federalism and not sovereignty. For years you were told that this is about the sovereignty of J&K. All that it actually stood for was asymmetric federalism. Then why was this myth perpetuated for years and years together? Was the special status for J&K only a way to ensure that a special status would be enjoyed by a group of politicians within J&K? For years, a bunch of Kashmiri citizens were denied their rights. If you're women marrying outside of Jammu and Kashmir, if you're Dalits, you were denied equality, and Kashmir was kept away knowingly from the Indian mainstream. The question then is why and for whose benefit, who created this artificial divide between a special status Kashmir and the so-called Indian mainland. Will those people be made accountable today? Joining us on the debate, Rajiv Pratap Rudy, MP and National Spokesperson of the BJP, Harshvardhan Tripathi, Senior Journalist, Muzaffar Khan, Spokesperson of the National Conference, Lokesh Jindal, Political Analyst, and Manoj Kaka, Spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. We also have Ashutosh, Senior Journalist, here with us. But I want to start with you, Mr. Khan. I heard a lot of politicians today from Jammu and Kashmir. We heard Mehbooba Mufti, we heard Omar Abdullah. Mehbooba Mufti said that this is against the very idea of India. The fact that the abrogation of Article 370 has been upheld by the Supreme Court is against the idea of India. Would you care to explain how?
Upholding a constitutional provision or an amendment is altogether different from its political implication. What the Supreme Court has said today is purely simple, that whatever was done on 5th of August 2019 was intra-virus the Constitution. They never said that it is politically a good or a bad decision. Secondly, it is not only the leaders, rather the entire Jammu and Kashmir was disappointed today. There is no doubt in it.
How do you know that?
It is the judgment of the Supreme Court.
How do you know that, sir, that the entire Jammu and Kashmir is disappointed?
I am Padmaji, I am resident of that area. Though I am, as a lawyer, I was one of the petitioner and I was appearing in the Supreme Court, but I am from that area. I know.
I have hundreds and hundreds of friends who are also residents of that area. I have, for example, women who married outside of Jammu and Kashmir and as a result could never get land rights within Jammu and Kashmir. They are very happy today. They are extremely happy. I can quote to you stories of young Dalit children whose only government job could be that of a sweeper. They're very happy today. Why do you say all of Jammu and Kashmir is unhappy? No, they are not unhappy.
That was not the issue before the Supreme Court.
Which is fine.
Padma ma'am,
the issue before the Supreme Court was the issue before the Supreme. You're absolutely right.
Incorrect.
No, hold on a second, sir.
Incorrect.
You started by saying the Supreme Court only ruled on the legality. Of course, the Supreme Court can only rule on the legality. It cannot rule on the political implications. As far as the political and human rights implications, I'm asking you, why should a young Dalit girl who can only be entitled to work as a sweeper in Jammu and Kashmir be unhappy? She is happy. She can do whatever job she wants in Jammu and Kashmir today. Why do you presume to speak on her behalf?
That has nothing to do. That has nothing to do. Padma ma'am, that has nothing to do with Article 370 or statehood. It has nothing to do. So far as the right of the female is concerned, that has already been given by the division bench judgment of the High Court, that even if a lady who marries outside the state of Jammu and Kashmir, she is entitled to retain the property right in the state. That has already been decided by the High Court and that was implemented.
Okay.
Even the state subjects issued during that period, the mark that it is valid up to marriage was omitted, and a contempt was filed in the Honorable High Court of Jammu and Kashmir. High Court directed that it will be omitted from the state subject, that it is valid until marriage. So it is valid for entire life of the lady.
Okay,
so
fine.
That was
fine. Let me bring in Rajiv Pratap Rudy then, but before that, let me ask you the question framed differently. Muzaffar Khan Sahab, just answer me one question. Why did 370 and 35 need to exist? What was the need for that?
It need to exist because of the peculiar condition, peculiar culture, peculiar area, and it was none else than the Constituent Assembly of India which gave this right, special privilege to
the Supreme Court says there is nothing peculiar or different or special or sovereign about Jammu and Kashmir as compared to a Telangana or a Maharashtra or a Himachal or an Uttarakhand. The Supreme Court of India says you enjoy exactly the same rights as any other state of India.
Definitely, I agree with you. The Supreme Court said that it is as good as any other state is. But asymmetric system of relationship exists even under Article 371. If you will go through Article 371, the difference is simply the nomenclature is, it is a permanent, and here it was temporary. But the asymmetric relationship, the federal asymmetric relationship between union and the state, about 13 states from Article 371A to J, it exists even today.
Okay.
So similarly, it was 370 for state of Jammu and Kashmir, and asymmetric relationship of federalism was existing.
Okay,
So
let's take this one by one. Rajiv Pratap Rudy, first of all, address the issue of there is large-scale dismay among people of Jammu and Kashmir. What had existed historically has been taken away. The court is one side, but the lives of people are quite a different story.
Well, I am absolutely shocked and amazed by the statement of one of the petitioners who is on the television today, Padmaja. But having said that, when we are talking about 1.5 crore of people there, here is a gentleman, he says that happiness of the people of Jammu and Kashmir eludes post-abrogation of Article 370. Well, this was a statement being made by all political class, and even I heard Mehbooba speak something, and I heard Mr. Chidambaram say something. And of course, for some time I keep away the arguments which the government has given, which we had, and which was a very coherent arguments, and the decision was taken to abrogate Article 370. The question here is, if you do not, the question is, do they believe in the Indian Constitution? And if they believe in an Indian Constitution, a constitutional action was taken, which I feel as a political party I may have taken a decision. If you are aggrieved by a political situation or a political decision or decision of the government or the decision of the Prime Minister, the platform it is under the Constitution is to go to the Supreme Court, where you had made an appeal. For 2 years you have been deliberating and talking that this decision is wrong. You have been heard at length. It's not this 15 minutes debate on the television. And after that, the Supreme Court, which is the highest court of the land, under the Constitution, the 5 bench judges sit across and they give a verdict. Now, all their effort, all their application of mind, all that debate is a zero for you now. And you say that, oh, that decision is there and this. So your arguments have been presented. And the people who have faith in the Constitution, if you do not have a faith in the Constitution, I have no words for you. But all those 140 crore Indians who have faith in the Constitution absolutely accept the verdict of the Supreme Court, and that is the highest law. We are not going to frame another constitution, because some people talk like this. But we accept the Constitution, and it's a constitutional judgment where can we create a dispute. So if you keep on beating about the bush, actually when people come on the television screen and talking about such things which has been now fully settled, it was an issue, never was it being sorted out, the government sorted it out, and now once it has been sorted out, where is the question of any debate anymore? And that is the large public will. It is. I will not go into what is happening in Jammu and Kashmir. It's a completely changed situation on ground in Kashmir. But if you have to live in a self-denial mode, I have no comments to make. It's a historic, it's an iconic, it's a constitutional decision which all of us abide by, and we really appreciate that the entire nation is standing by the court verdict and the decision of the government.
The entire country is standing by what the Supreme Court has said, but Mehbooba Mufti, everyone remembers what she said, कि कोई भी एक हाथ नहीं रहेगा जो कि भारत का झंडा पकड़ेगा. But she wasn't the only one, by the way. Before I come to you, Lokesh Jindal, and to Harshvardhan Tripathi, I want our viewers to listen to a number of doomsayers who had said that nobody has the guts to take away 370 because there will be hell to pay by India. And here we are in 2023. Listen to these people, because they have some questions to answer today. Listen.
ये क्या उसको मिटाना चाहते हैं? समझते हैं कि बाहर से लाएंगे, बसाएंगे, हमारा नंबर कम कर देंगे, हम क्या सोते रहेंगे?
जो हुआ है वो संविधान को नकारा गया है.
ये कश्मीर आप कहते कि अंदरूनी मामला है, मनीष तिवारी, लेकिन आप भी सर, लेकिन आप भी यूनाइटेड नेशन की मॉनिटरिंग लोग करते हैं वहाँ.
आज हमने मुआफी के साथ कहता हूं कश्मीर के पैलेस्टीन बनने का रास्ता खोल दिया है। मुझे दुख के साथ कहना पड़ रहा है।
India needs आजादी from Kashmir just as much as Kashmir needs आजादी from India.
लाल चौक में पोस्टर्स लगाए, दीवारों पे लिखा है, जिसने अपनी मां का दूध पिया हो वो श्रीनगर के बाद।
Okay, answer this, Lokesh Jindal. I don't know if you heard Farooq Abdullah. They're saying आपको लगता है कि बाहर से लोग लाएंगे, कश्मीर में बसाएंगे और हमारे नंबर कम कर देंगे. Do you know that you, Lokesh Jindal, as somebody who lives in Delhi, was what Farooq Abdullah was talking about? बाहर से लोग लाएंगे और कश्मीर में बसाएंगे. And you sit here defending that same Article 370, which calls you a बाहर का आदमी, you in your own country. आप जाइए वहां शिकारे पे बैठिए, वहां लंच खाइए, फिर चुपचाप वापस आ जाइए because आप बाहर के आदमी थे when 370 was around.
Well, Padmaja, Kashmir is not the only state which enjoys special provisions. We have Article 371, which gives special provisions
do not
to
shift
other
the
regions
goalpost.
as well.
Every article is very different. Today, let's talk about 370, please.
I'm coming to Article
Let's have a specific debate about 370 because we cannot keep indefinitely shifting the goalpost. Answer about 370. Are you comfortable as somebody who lives in Delhi to be called Bahar ka Aadmi in Kashmir? Yes or no?
Padmaja, well, that's, in the Article 370, in the Constituent Assembly resolution passed in 1957, it was explicitly mentioned that the territory of Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India. So that was explicitly mentioned over there. The point is,
hold on a second. The point is that it did not give you the rights. It did not give you the rights as a citizen of India to go and buy land in Jammu and Kashmir. Somebody from that state can buy land anywhere. They can come and buy land next to where you stay in Delhi. You cannot, sir.
Can I go and buy land
because you are a Bahar wala.
Can
you
I
are
go
a Bahar
and buy
wala.
land in Goa? Can I go and buy
Sir,
land in Goa?
can we address one issue at a time?
Can I go and buy land in Nagaland? Can I go and buy land in Mizoram? Can I go and buy land in Arunachal Pradesh? Please answer. Can I go and buy land in Meghalaya? Can I go and buy land in Tripura?
I will ask that question.
No.
Now let me ask you the question again. Let me again ask you the question. Are you comfortable being called a Bahar ka Aadmi in Jammu and Kashmir as an Indian citizen? Yes or no?
Where's the question of Bahar ka Aadmi? We all have same passport. I have had batchmates, I've had students, I've had a lot of people from Jammu and Kashmir appearing for Indian civil services, appearing for Indian jobs, working in Indian government facilities, everywhere. I don't understand where does this debate come from. The entire question is how this entire amendment was, how this entire change was done, how this abrogation was done.
There was nothing wrong in the abrogation, by the way. And on that, the Supreme Court has been absolutely clear. Let me again, I will get Harshvardhan Tripathi to answer your question of why this special focus on Kashmir when the same land rights exist in hilly states. For example, in Uttarakhand, a non-resident cannot buy land. Same applies for Himachal, etc. But as far as the process is concerned, let me be absolutely clear. Here's what the Supreme Court has said. The exercise of power by the President under Article 371D to issue CO 272 is not malified. They have also gone on to say that Article 370 is a temporary provision and there was nothing wrong in the way that the abrogation was done. But Harshvardhan Tripathi, ये जवाब दीजिए कि कश्मीर को एक मुद्दा बना दिया गया क्योंकि आरएसएस उससे ऑब्सेस्ड था. यही आपके नॉर्थ ईस्ट में भी अप्लाई करता है, यही आपके उत्तराखंड में भी अप्लाई करता है और ये हिमाचल में भी अप्लाई करता है.
नहीं पद्मजा, सबसे पहले तो अगर आरएसएस ऑब्सेस्ड है तो राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ की प्रशंसा की जानी चाहिए. और इस देश में कांग्रेस पार्टी जो कहती है कि हम तो आजादी की लड़ाई लड़के यहां तक पहुंचे और उसने देश के एक हिस्से को इस तरह से विशेष दर्जा देके क्या बना दिया, आतंकवादियों के हाथ में सौंप दिया, अलगाववादियों के हाथ में सौंप दिया, कुछ परिवारों के हाथ में गिरवी रख दिया. और पद्मजा, एक छोटा सा कहते हैं ना, हम लोग तो बोध कथा वाले हैं, आपके अंग्रेजी के भी दर्शक सुनेंगे तो उन्हें अच्छा लगेगा. सौतेली मां जैसा व्यवहार किया है कश्मीर के साथ अभी तक के जो सत्ता में बैठे लोग रहे. एक महिला आई, पहले से बच्चा था, उसको लगा कि क्या करेंगे, सौतेली मां थी वो, तो उसको वो गोद से उतारती ही नहीं थी. 1 साल, 2 साल, 3 साल, 5 साल, 10 साल 12-14 साल तक वो बच्चे को गोद से नहीं उतारती थी। क्या नतीजा हुआ? बच्चा विकलांग हो गया, उसे चलना नहीं आया, उसे जमीन पर उतारो तो वो गिर पड़ता था। विशेष दर्जा देकर इस देश के हुक्मरानों ने जम्मू कश्मीर के साथ वही पाप किया है, और वो पाप सबसे ज्यादा जम्मू कश्मीर के मुसलमानों के साथ हुआ है। ऐसा नहीं कि उसमें किसी एक का नुकसान हुआ। और कोई तुलना करता है देश के दूसरे हिस्सों से कि उत्तराखंड में जमीन नहीं ले सकते या कहीं और नहीं ले सकते। शर्म आनी चाहिए। देश के किसी और हिस्से में इस तरह का कत्लेआम नहीं हुआ, इस तरह से लोगों को भगाया नहीं गया, इस तरह से उनकी संपत्तियों पर कब्जा नहीं किया। और आज सर्वोच्च न्यायालय की कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बेंच, आज के बाद तो अगर कोई ये बात करे तो वो सचमुच टुकड़े टुकड़े गैंग का सदस्य है। फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच का मतलब ये नहीं है कि भारत को हर वक्त आप बांटने की कोशिश करेंगे। आज तीनों चीजें क्लियर हो गई। भारत संप्रभु राष्ट्र है, कोई राज्य नहीं है। यूनियन ऑफ स्टेट्स की जो डेफिनेशन देते हुए यूरोप और अमेरिका में घूम रहे थे, उनका दिमाग साफ हो जाना चाहिए। नंबर 2, ये कोई स्पेशल स्टेटस नहीं है। वो युद्ध जैसे हालात थे, अलग हालात थे, जैसे दूसरे राज्यों का विलय हुआ वैसे ही हुआ। तीसरा सबसे महत्वपूर्ण, संविधान सभा या विधानसभा नहीं है तो देश की संसद सर्वोच्च होती है, उसके पास अधिकार है। और राष्ट्रपति ने जो कुछ किया वो सब संवैधानिक दायरे में है। ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बेंच का निर्णय है, सीजेआई डीवाई चंद्रचूड़ की अध्यक्षता में।
रिस्पॉन्ड लोकेश जिंदल।
बात नहीं करनी चाहिए।
रिस्पॉन्ड लोकेश जिंदल।
Well, Harshvardhan ji, you will agree that there is constitution and there is constitutionalism. The manner in which the abrogation of Article 370 was done, reducing the statehood of Jammu and Kashmir into a union territory and depriving the people of their democratic rights, the manner in which President's executive orders were misused, the way an entire Indian section of entire citizens were deprived of their democratic right for 4.5 years. And even now, today in the court, the central government, it refused to come out with a clear-cut date as to when they will restore democracy and statehood in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, this is worrisome. See, we have to understand one thing. Nobody over here is arguing upon reinstatement of Article 370. It is very important to understand.
No, actually you are. The DMK's Tiruchu Siva today inside Parliament said that when we come back to power, we will bring back Article 370. Make no mistake about it. And actually the Congress must answer on that, whether they agree with this assertion. I also must tell you that another DMK MP made such a horrible comment about self-determination that it had to be expunged from the record, sir. Today he said, and I'm just paraphrasing because the comment has been expunged, a DMK MP said inside the Rajya Sabha that each community in India has the right to self-determination. He's essentially saying that we should all be broken up into multiple countries, and this, imagine, was said in the parliament of our country. I will play out what Tiruchu Siva said just in a second, but even Mr. Khan wants to respond to Harshvardhan Tripathi, and I'll bring back the BJP. Yes, Mr. Khan.
Padmaja, ma'am, one thing is very clear. The BJP spokesperson was saying that it has breeded militancy, it has breeded terrorism, it has done, and it was to a particular community or a particular Kumbha. They are saying that to particular families. It is all rhetoric which we have been hearing for last many years now. But people are sick of it now.
Actually, not.
Which family got
let me quote what Justice Kaul said today, sir. Hold on a second. You are saying that it was directed at a community is just rhetoric.
Listen to me.
Here is what Justice Kaul says.
Listen to me.
When he spoke about truth and reconciliation, he said the second round of insurgency holds its origin to the latter part of 1980s. There was a troubled situation at ground level which was not redressed. It culminated in the migration of one part of the population of the state in 1989 and 1990. This is something that our country has to live with, and without any redressal for the people who had to leave their home and hearth. It was not a voluntary migration. And this, sir, was all a byproduct of Article 370. And today we have the Supreme Court Constitution bench finally talking about the dirtiest secret of our country which nobody talks about, Mr. Khan. The persecution of people is not rhetoric. It is very real.
Will you allow me to put only just one question?
Yes, go on.
It is a rhetoric. I'll say it is a rhetoric. And I must tell you that even after abrogation of Article 370, they could not achieve the peace there. Rather, the situation is worse. Situation has been retrogressive now. Even the people of Jammu and Kashmir, they are not supporting the government organizations there.
Okay, respond. Rajiv Pratap Rudy, the people of Jammu and Kashmir are not supporting the government. Mr. Khan is unequivocal in that.
Well, if that is true, there were the people of Jammu and Kashmir supporting the previous, when 370 was there. You just tell me how many stone throwing incidents took place in the last 3 years. You tell me whether the advantage of Right to Education Act, which should have gone to the people in Jammu and Kashmir, are you happy that it never went there? Can you tell me the Land Acquisition Act, which is a historic act and which actually empowers people when they give away the land, should not be applicable in Jammu and Kashmir? Tell me the Forest Right Act, which the tribals enjoy, should not be applicable in Jammu and Kashmir, and it was not applicable in Jammu and Kashmir. And when you say it's a rhetoric, and doesn't the people of Jammu and Kashmir deserve an AIMS? You did not allow an AIMS to be built up. If you look at the degree colleges, you look at no cinema hall was open for last 30 years. The first cinema hall opened for viewership in Kashmir. There are more than 100 movies shot. There was no movie being shot in the last 30 years. So what are you talking about? What are you trying to say, that the situation, the people were happy with those situations and that people would be unhappy? I think you are completely off the mark. You are talking a rhetoric. We are not talking a rhetoric. We are talking about a reality which exists. And hats off to the government, hats off the Prime Minister and the people of this country who have embraced the decision of the Supreme Court today and say it's been settled for good, as it has been settled for triple talaq, as it has been settled for Ram Janambhoomi. Country is heading, for last 30 years, Padmaja, in my politics from 1996, I have been always debating Ram Janambhoomi, triple talaq, Kashmir. Thanks to the Prime Minister, for once, this country is, at least the posterity, the generation, will not waste their time discussing what is India and what India should have been, and the fallacies and the flaws which were made by the leadership there.
We're talking about historical fallacies. Today, the Home Minister, Ashutosh Ji, decided to call it historical blunders. Not just about the ceasefire, taking it to the UN, etc., but also the fact that 370 was allowed to be brought in, or it was allowed to exist. You know, what Sheikh Abdullah did with Kashmir. The problem is that today, when those fallacies are being righted, you have got Tiruchi Shiva of the DMK saying this. I want to play out what he said and then come to you for a reaction.
Sir, tomorrow if the Indian alliance wins and come to the power, and the Article 370 is restored.
I'm going to
Wait. One second. Let me speak, sir. Let me speak.
नहीं शिवा साहब एक मिनट। शिवा साहब डीएमके का एजेंडा बता रहे हैं कि आर्टिकल 370 फिर से लाएंगे या पूरा इंडी अलायंस का एजेंडा है, उसकी स्पष्टता कर देनी चाहिए।
We were against the abrogation. Still now, that's happened.
Ashutosh, do you think that the opposition is getting on the wrong side of history by even today saying we do not agree with what the Supreme Court says, we are going to bring it back?
Padmaja, I think I will be allowed to speak uninterrupted as the BJP spokesperson. The supporters were allowed to speak. Let me put it very simply. And somebody has said कि वहाँ तो विकलांग कर दिया लोगों को, बट जम्मू कश्मीर में जो पर कैपिटा इनकम है वो 1,65,775 रुपए है। जरा चेक कर लीजिएगा बिहार की पर कैपिटा इनकम कितनी है और यूपी की कितनी है और दूसरे राज्यों की पर कैपिटा इनकम कितनी है। और 2015 के समय वहां पर कैपिटा इनकम ग्रोथ 17.95% थी, जो पिछले दिनों घट के 14.19% हुई। कितना डेवलपमेंट विकास पिछले 10 सालों के अंदर हुआ है, ये डेटा कह रहा है, सरकार का डेटा, मेरा अपना डेटा नहीं है। तो जो लोग कहते हैं कि वो गिरवी रख दिया, आतंकवादियों कर दिया, विकलांग बना दिया, उनको अपने डेटा पर समझना चाहिए कि रेटरिक्स पे बात नहीं बनती। दूसरी बात, मुझे लगता है कि हम लोगों को ये अधिकार नहीं है कि हम कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली का अपमान करें इस तरीके से, क्योंकि सुप्रीम कोर्ट का फैसला आ गया तो हम कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली का अपमान करें। कौन कौन लोग थे कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली के अंदर? राजीव प्रताप रूडी को पता नहीं होगा, लेकिन मैं बता देता हूं। उसमें जवाहरलाल नेहरू थे, उसमें सरदार पटेल थे, उसमें चक्रवर्ती राजगोपालाचारी थे, और उसमें श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी थे। यह बात सच है कि श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी कभी भी आरएसएस के आदमी नहीं थे, वो जो है वो हिंदू महासभा से आए थे। तो जाहिर सी बात है श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी को आरएसएस की कार्यप्रणाली से, उनकी विचारधारा से सहमति नहीं थी। अगर आज आप कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली के कलेक्टिव विजडम को इंसल्ट करते हैं तो हम सब लोगों का सिर शर्म से झुकना चाहिए। इतिहास के एक पल में कोई फैसला होता है, उस फैसले को ओन करना चाहिए। 70 साल बाद 75 साल बाद उसको रिव्यू करने का अधिकार इतिहास देता है। लेकिन अगर आज हम यहां बैठकर कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली के किए फैसले कर अपमानित करते हैं तो हम श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी का भी अपमान करते हैं, क्योंकि श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी वहां बैठे हुए थे, उस कैबिनेट में थे, उनके मुंह से आवाज क्यों नहीं निकली? क्यों नहीं उन्होंने विरोध किया? धारा 370 आपने लगाया। तो यहां रेटरिक्स करना, डेमागोगी करना, पॉलिटिक्स करना एक अलग सवाल है। लेकिन मैं जानता हूं कि आज जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट का फैसला देश उसके साथ है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने यह भी कहा है कि पिछले 70 सालों में धीरे धीरे करके धारा 370 को बहुत ज्यादा डाइल्यूट किया गया है और लगभग खत्म कर दिया। सुप्रीम कोर्ट के शब्द मेरे शब्द नहीं है। तो आज आप पॉलिटिक्स करना चाहते हैं, पॉलिटिक्स करिए। आज आप जो भी जम्मू कश्मीर का नुमाइंदा, पीडीपी के साथ गठबंधन आप करिए, सरकार आप बनाइए। तो पीडीपी दूध की धुली हुई है, वो अमृत पान करके आई हुई है। जब पीडीपी वहां से हट जाती है तो आप पीडीपी को देश के गद्दार साबित करती है। कौन सी पॉलिटिक्स है भाई? इससे घटिया पॉलिटिक्स हो ही नहीं सकती।
ओके, हर्षवर्धन जी रिस्पॉन्ड, बिकॉज यू स्पोक ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली। आज कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली को गाली देना आसान है क्योंकि हवा दूसरी तरफ हो गई है।
पद्मजा, मुश्किल यही है आशुतोष जी की कि वो फैक्ट बताते हैं तो पहले वो पर कैपिटा इनकम ले आते हैं, लेकिन पूरी बात नहीं बताते हैं। फैक्ट क्या है वो सुन लीजिए। जम्मू एंड कश्मीर गेट्स 10% ऑफ सेंट्रल फंड्स विद ओनली 1% ऑफ पॉपुलेशन। जम्मू कश्मीर को केंद्र सरकार से 10% सहायता राशि जाती है, जो सिर्फ 1% आबादी है, और जो 13% आबादी है उत्तर प्रदेश की, वहां 8.2% जाता है। तो पहले तो ये समझिए कि जम्मू कश्मीर में पर कैपिटा 91,000 रुपए से ज्यादा सेंट्रल ग्रांट जाती है, नंबर 1। नंबर 2 ये, किसी ने कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली के हमारे फाउंडिंग फादर्स के लिए कुछ नहीं कहा। देश के प्रथम प्रधानमंत्री पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू ने कहा था, अनुच्छेद 370 एक अस्थायी प्रावधान है जो घिसते घिसते घिस जाएगा। किसने बेईमानी की? कौन लोग थे जिन्होंने इसको परमानेंट प्रोविजन बना दिया? वो लोग हैं बेईमान, वो लोग हैं धोखेबाज, और उनके पक्ष में बात करने वाले वो शर्मसार कर रहे हैं देश को, वो पाप कर रहे हैं देश को बांटने की भावना भड़काने का।
मनोज काका, आप रिस्पॉन्ड कीजिए। I'll come back to Ashutosh ji. Let Manoj Kaka please, because he is also an alliance partner in India. Let him please come in. Yes, Manoj Kaka.
पद्मजा, एक तो ये कि व्यवस्था में रह करके, लोकतांत्रिक देश में रह करके जो संवैधानिक पीठ का जो फैसला आया है उसके साथ समाजवादी पार्टी संबद्ध होती है। जो संवैधानिक पीठ ने, देश के माननीय उच्चतम न्यायालय ने जो फैसला लिया है उसके साथ हम संबद्ध होते हैं। लेकिन भारतीय जनता पार्टी जो सुखद आंकड़ों का एक प्रस्तुत करती है, और भारतीय जनता पार्टी समर्थित और उनके पोषित जो कुछ विश्लेषक भी करते हैं, उनको वहां के हकीकत का सामना करना चाहिए। जिन जम्मू एंड कश्मीर समेत पूरे देश के सरहदों की सुरक्षा हमारे सैनिक करते थे, उनको तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने अग्निवीर बना दिया। जो अपने जान का न्यौछावर करते थे उन सरहदों की सुरक्षा हेतु, जिससे हम, राजवर्धन और आप और राजीव प्रताप जी जैसे लोग सुरक्षित हैं, उनको तो अग्निवीर बना दिया भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने। अगर आप चरमपंथी घटनाओं का भी आकलन करेंगी तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी के 370 हटाने के बाद भी, और इधर के जब से भारतीय जनता पार्टी का सरकार हुई है तब से चरमपंथी घटनाएं भी बढ़ी हैं। विगत 3 सालों में, शुरुआती के 3 सालों में, विगत 3 साल की जो यूपीए की सरकार थी,
ये बात सच है नहीं सर, मैं आपको सरकारी आंकड़े दे दूंगी, ये बात सच नहीं।
आप वहां कई 100 करोड़,
ये बात सच नहीं है। भले से ही स्टोन पेल्टिंग, सिविलियन किलिंग, पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस किलिंग, जितनी भी घटनाएं हैं वो कम हुई हैं। इट्स अ फैक्ट।
सुन लीजिए, अरे सुन लीजिए,
आप अगर सुनना चाहते हैं तो आई कैन रैटल ऑफ द डिटेल्स आल्सो।
कि इतनी आप में हिम्मत नहीं है तो विनम्रता से आग्रह है
सर, हिम्मत ऐसे, देयर इज नो नीड टू बी अननेसेसरी अग्रेसिव इन द फेस ऑफ फैक्ट्स।
दुर्भाग्य से,
मतलब हिम्मत नहीं है, हिम्मत कोई बोलने की जरूरत नहीं है। आपके पास आंकड़े हैं टू शो कि चरमपंथी घटनाएं बढ़ गई हैं, तो आप आंकड़ों पे बात कीजिए, बिकॉज आई विल गिव यू डेटा।
बाकी आज तक का आर्टिकल है पद्मजा आज तक के आर्टिकल है, और मैं आपको व्हाट्सएप कर दूंगा, मेरे पास आपका नंबर तो नहीं है, आपको पढ़ना चाहिए वहां नजदीक से। मैंने क्या ये गलत बोल दिया?
चलिए, मैं कोई आपको आज तक का आर्टिकल नहीं भेजूंगी, मैं आपको सरकारी डेटा पढ़ के सुनाती हूँ, ठीक है, जो कि लोकसभा में दिया गया है। आप आर्टिकल ही मत पढ़िए, आप लोकसभा की वेबसाइट पे जाके पढ़ा कीजिए, वो ओरिजिनल डेटा है। As far as data is concerned, let me quote to you now, and this we've said again and again, which is why I didn't want to be repetitive, but since आपने कहा है कि हिम्मत नहीं है, पढ़ करके आई हूं तो थोड़ा सा आपको बता देती हूं कि जितना टेररिज्म के इंसिडेंट्स हैं 70% उसमें डिक्रीज हुआ है, डेथ ऑफ सिविलियन 72% डिक्रीज हुआ है, सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस की जो डेथ्स हैं उसमें 59% डिक्रीज हुआ है बिटवीन द पीरियड ऑफ 2004 एंड 2014 एंड 2014 एंड 2023। तो ये सरकारी आंकड़े हैं, लोकसभा की वेबसाइट पे है, आप जाके आराम से पढ़ सकते हैं। बट प्लीज कंप्लीट योर पॉइंट।
मैं पद्मजा, एक कदम गुंडवी की एक शेर है कि तुम्हारे फाइलों में गांव का मौसम गुलाबी है, मगर ये आंकड़ा झूठा है और दावा किताबी है। हम उस फैसले से समाजवादी पार्टी संबद्ध होती है, हम किसी भी माननीय उच्चतम न्यायालय के, वो भी संवैधानिक पीठ का कोई फैसला पर हम सवाल नहीं खड़े कर रहे हैं, हम उसको मान रहे हैं और कुछ चीजें खत्म हो जानी चाहिए। अगर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने राम मंदिर पर कोई निर्णय दे दिया, उसके साथ देश हो गया, ये भी निर्णय आया, इसके साथ देश है। लेकिन भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने क्या डोकलाम में क्या हुआ आप नहीं जानती हैं, चीन ने क्या करा है नहीं जानती हैं। अगर आप सामरिक चीजों को पढ़ती होंगी तो पढ़िए कि चीन ने कितना हाईवे और क्या क्या बनाया।
अच्छी बात है सर कि जब मैंने आपको डेटा कोट किया तो आप शेर सुनाने लगे। दैट बीइंग सेड, इट इज स्टिल वेरी हार्टनिंग दैट समाजवादी पार्टी इज सेइंग कि आप देश की भावना के साथ हैं। तिरुचु शिवा जी से आप मिलेंगे तो उनको भी बताइएगा कि देश की भावना जिसको आप सपोर्ट करते हैं क्या है इस वक्त। आशुतोष जी वांटेड टू रिस्पॉन्ड टू हर्षवर्धन त्रिपाठी। All right, Ashutosh has just been dropped. I'll come for final words. Lokesh Jindal, today we still have a situation where Mr. Chidambaram says that we still stand by Article 370. DMK says we still stand by Article 370. Do you really think कि देश की भावना, as the समाजवादी पार्टी puts it, इस वक्त 370 की भावना है?
Well, पद्मजा, देशवासियों की भावना क्या है ये भी महत्वपूर्ण है। We cannot unilaterally emphasize only and only upon territorial and political integration. We must also ensure that the political aspirations of the Kashmiris, of the inhabitants, residents, that is also acknowledged. I again reiterate the resolution that was passed by the Congress Working Committee, where it stated that the manner in which democratic aspirations and rights of the people was trampled upon, the manner in which the abrogation of Article 370 happened was something that was way more worrisome than the final outcome.
Sir, do you think that the political aspirations of Kashmiri people are being curbed, or the political aspirations of a bunch of Kashmiri politicians are being curbed?
Legislative Assembly, Padmaja, there were representatives of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. There could have been a role that could have accorded to them. A democratic voice could have been heard. It could have been taken into consideration rather than passing an executive order, rather than passing a presidential order, and thereby going against the spirit of constitutionalism. So when I'm talking about the constitutional provisions, they must be in accordance to the spirit of constitutionalism.
You're talking about the spirit
and
of constitution. Let Ashutosh ji also quickly come in, and then I will go for final responses to Rajiv Pratap Rudy and Harshvardhan Tripathi. Yes. Ashutosh ji wanted to respond to what Harshvardhan Tripathi said.
नहीं, मेरा स्पष्ट तौर पे कहना यह है कि इतिहास के एक पल में एक फैसला होता है। वो फैसला सही होगा गलत होगा वो तो इतिहास आगे जाके तय करेगा। बहुत सारे लोगों को इस बारे में आपत्ति हो सकती है कि डिमोनेटाइजेशन का फैसला आपने किया, उसमें 100 से ज्यादा लोगों की जानें गई, देश की अर्थव्यवस्था चौपट हुई। तो क्या मणिपुर के अंदर जो कुछ हुआ, आज से 10 साल के बाद 100 साल के बाद जब इतिहास लिखा जाएगा तो नरेंद्र मोदी सरकार की आलोचना होगी? इसमें नेहरू जी की सरकार की आलोचना हो, इसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। प्रॉब्लम तब है जब फतवे दिए जाने शुरू हो जाते हैं और नेहरू जी को रबिश करने की कोशिश होती है, उस कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली को रबिश करने की कोशिश की जाती है जिसने इस देश को संविधान दिया और उस संविधान के तहत हुआ। मेरा कहना यह है कि अगर आज आप
हर्षवर्धन त्रिपाठी कह रहे हैं कि कंस्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली को कोई फतवे नहीं दे रहा है, वो कह रहे हैं कि तब से लेके अब तक 70 सालों में जो पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज हैं उनसे सवाल पूछे जाने चाहिए। What happened in 1947 is different. But you can't keep doing it in 2007 and 2017.
आप मुझे बोलने नहीं दे रही तो कैसे काम चलेगा ना? हर्षवर्धन जी को तो बिना इंटरप्शन के बोलते हैं, या बीजेपी के स्पोक्सपर्सन, मुझे तो बोलने दीजिए ना।
बोलिए।
मैं एक सवाल खड़ा पूछना चाहता हूं, और वो बहुत सिंपल सा सवाल है कि जिन महबूबा मुफ्ती को किसने मुख्यमंत्री बनाया, किसके समर्थन से मुख्यमंत्री बनी? क्या महबूबा मुफ्ती कश्मीर के लोगों की नुमाइंदगी नहीं कर रही थी? क्या महबूबा मुफ्ती उस वक्त सेपरेटिज्म की बात नहीं कर रही थी? क्या महबूबा मुफ्ती तब पाकिस्तान परस्त नहीं थी? जब आपने मुख्यमंत्री बनाया तब तो वो बहुत पाक साफ थी। आज महबूबा मुफ्ती को आप आतंकवादी घोषित करने की कोशिश, ये पॉलिटिक्स घटिया है, और ये पॉलिटिक्स देश को लेकर डूबेगी, बर्बाद करेगी।
ओके, घटिया पॉलिटिक्स। राजीव प्रताप रूडी, इन प्रिंसिपल यू वांट टू डिफेंड समथिंग इज फाइन, बट घटिया पॉलिटिक्स मत कीजिए, आशुतोष जी कह रहे हैं।
आशुतोष ने तो बहुत बातें कह दी and spoken about a lot of things. I'll start from Mr. Chidambaram first, because Ashutosh said something about the Constituent Assembly and they said all these members were there which Rajiv Pratap did not know. Yes, Ashutosh, possibly I did not know the members who were there in the Constituent Assembly. But having said that, please take a cue from the fact that at the end of the day, it was not a permanent provision. It was a temporary provision. And we may have been wrong. I said we may have been wrong. The people who were pleading for this abrogation may have been wrong. And that is what you were saying, but we believed it is not wrong. The people in the Constituent Assembly who saw this provision being inserted, they may have, at that point of time, there may have been a lot of discussion on this subject, but they also included a clause that at a given point of time, this should be removed. Having said that, look at what Mr. Chidambaram says. He says that the amendment should have been brought in strictly in accordance with the Constitution. Now, if it was not brought in accordance with the Constitution, then who decides whether it was in accordance with the Constitution or not? It is the bench or the Constitution bench of the Supreme Court which has prevailed. Now, here is a team, here are my colleagues there on the screen who say Supreme Court is wrong, the government is wrong, the people is wrong, everyone is wrong except that, and they are the protagonists who say that we are right. This is a bizarre situation. This is absolutely, but end of the day, hats off to the people of this country who have embraced this decision. And of course, Ashutosh, I understand your frustration because this has been concluded for good now. The people of this country know exactly that that it has been concluded for good, in national interest, in federal interest, and the posterity would always look up at this point of time in history and say, wow, what a decision, which was embraced and supported and vetoed by the Supreme Court as well.
Through the day,
so I think it's a high time
a lot of political parties have said, we believe in the People's Court, even though the Supreme Court has passed a certain judgment. Already the Apex Court has said that by the end of next year, elections have to be held in Jammu and Kashmir. The People's Court will kick into action at that time. We'll see if they agree with this decision. Let's hope those elections are done with speed. Thanks very much, all gentlemen, for joining me. Thanks for watching.